Today we're going to be talking all about conflict management. As a student leader at Sarah Lawrence, you will either have in the past or in the future interact with a situation where you need to resolve some sort of conflict. Conflict can be caused by many different reasons, and some of these can be internal and external. Internal conflict is caused by personality differences between individuals or negative behavior coming from one person to the other. Some external factors in conflict can be logistical concerns, exhaustion, or cultural challenges. Regardless, as a student leader, you should be able to be comfortable responding to and managing any conflicts that arise. Today, I'm going to be talking about 5 different conflict resolution strategies developed by Kenneth Thomas and Ralph Kilman. Everyone has typically their own preferred way of responding to conflict, but most of us actually use all 5 of these methods depending on the circumstance. Before we get started, I want you to reflect on 2 situations: how you react when somebody confronts you, and how you tend to confront others. So the 5 strategies that Kenneth Thomas and Ralph Kilman came up with are actually able to be plotted on this graph, and they range from being uncooperative to cooperative and unassertive to assertive. To start off with, let's talk about the avoiding strategy. This is when an individual ignores or withdraws themselves from the conflict. As you can see, they're low on the cooperative scale and low on the assertiveness scale. This occurs when somebody is uncomfortable with the conflict, or the cost of the confrontation actually exceeds the potential reward. So in other words, it just isn't worth it. However, as you can imagine, when conflict is avoided, nothing is actually resolved, and no one is contributing or having any important conversations. The ways that conflict might arise is when somebody physically removes themselves from the conversation or the situation, when they pass it off to someone else, or if they keep postponing the issue until a better time arises. However, like I mentioned earlier, there might be some circumstances where the avoiding technique might actually be beneficial. The next conflict resolution strategy is competing, which is high on assertiveness and low on cooperativeness, and this is when an individual goes into the conflict planning to win. It's also a situation where it seems like only one side can win and everyone else loses. This is when a person pursues their own interest at the other people's expenses, or they seem to have a power imbalance in who gets what they want. However, in other situations, competing might actually be helpful when you're standing up for your rights, defending a position you believe is correct, or just trying to win. I do want to say that competing is actually a difficult strategy to impose for group problem solving, as it does not allow for diverse perspectives to be heard. The next strategy we have is accommodating, which is high on cooperativeness and low on assertiveness. And this is when one party gives in to the wishes or demands of another. An individual might neglect their own concerns to satisfy the concerns of another person, and there's always an element of self-sacrifice in this strategy. Some people might consider it to be selfless or generous or charity work by obeying another person's order. However, this can become problematic if somebody can get taken advantage of if they're always accommodating. A situation where accommodating might be helpful is when you realize that you were actually wrong about an argument, and then it would be appropriate for you to give in to the other party's concerns. The 4th conflict resolution strategy we have is collaborating, which is high on cooperativeness and high on assertiveness. This is when the group allows each person to contribute with the possibility of co-creating shared solutions that everyone can support. And some would say this is the ideal strategy to use. It involves everyone digging into the issue to identify what the underlying concern is and try to find an alternative that meets both sets of concerns and one that everyone is happy about. However, I do want to say that collaboration can take a lot of time and energy, and this might not be the best strategy to use in the situation that you are in. The last strategy we have is compromising, And this is right in the middle of all of the cooperativeness and assertiveness strategies. This is when everyone gives up a little bit of what they want. No one gets everything they want. A lot of people can perceive compromising as being fair. However, no one is actually happy with the final outcome, whereas in collaboration, everyone sees an outcome they can support. In some situations, there might not be enough time, or there might not be an actual solution to come up with in the collaboration strategy, so compromising might be the best second option. As I mentioned, all 5 of these strategies can be reasonable depending on the circumstance you're in. However, individuals do seem to lean towards one strategy more than the other. After hearing all 5 of these strategies, which one do you think you lean towards?